had a great call this week with a new client, and she asked, will our work together help me better manage screen time with my kids? And I get a version of this question in most discovery calls. Will this work help me with chores? Will this work help me get them to do their homework? And I get so excited about that question that, like, specifically, the answer always is yes. And the answer about the screen time is really led me to the subject of this week's podcast. Because screen time is a whole variety of things to our kids. It's connection with their friends, all the way to numbing out after, the demands of being a kid today. And when you understand the difference between, like, on the one end, comfort and connection to all the way to numbing out, when you understand that difference, then you can really help your kids use screens more responsibly. And this piece is important. You can help them use screens with way less judgment, because screens really get a bad rap because they're so often used for numbing out. And I want to help you understand, like, what numbing out really is, so that you can notice the difference for yourself, and then you can teach it to your kids, both through role modeling and through, like, talking about what numbing out is in more productive ways. So that is always the goal with these podcasts. It is a twofer. I'm going to help you, and then you're going to pass it on to your kids. So as always, my email is Allie@allieirwin.com. if you have any questions or any comments about today's episode.
Welcome to Parenting Successful Teens, the podcast that cuts through the overwhelm and stress of this phase and offers parents simple, practical, cognitive, science-based strategies for keeping their teens on track. Join Master Coach and real-life mom, Allie Irwin, to talk about real teens, real problems, and the skills it takes to raise successful adults.
Hello, everyone. This week, I want to talk about the difference between connection and comforting yourself and numbing out. And I want to start by saying that numbing out is a protective thing we do, not a moral defect. When I lay out connection to comfort to numbing out, it sounds like a good to a bad spectrum. And honestly, that's the way it's most often talked about, but that's not it. Numbing out gets a bad rap, as if when people do it, they're being weak or irresponsible. And that's just not true. And actually, even having a need for comfort gets a bad rap. Like, I've been told approximately 7 zillion times over my life that I'm too sensitive. And I used to believe it before I found coaching and started doing the work and supporting myself. And now I understand that that's what our system does when we've got more going on than we can either emotionally or physically handle. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're all overwhelmed. So to begin to think about it in more productive ways, I want you to think of a stoplight. Green on top, yellow in the middle, and red on the bottom. Green is when you're feeling good. It's when everything is just humming along. Things feel like, maybe you even have a lot going on, but you feel like you can handle them. It's those mornings when everything is running smoothly. It's connection and curiosity and compassion and clarity and confidence. It's all the good things. But then something goes wrong. The kids get up late, even though you've tried to wake them up 3 times. Someone forgets their gear or their lunch. Or if you've got older kids, maybe someone's car has a flat and they can't get to work and you're just scrambling to figure that out. And you start to worry or feel frustrated. And now you're in the yellow zone. So maybe your breathing starts to shallow or quicken, or your stomach gets tight, or you find yourself clenching your jaw, or you can feel like your heart is beating faster. Emotions create a physical response. That physical response lets you know that you are now in the yellow zone. Okay, those feelings you have in your body are a signal that you need some comfort. or that something's going on that needs your attention. Not because you're a big baby and should just buck up, but because you're human and these emotions are normal. Okay, that yellow zone is fight or flight. And we have the option to comfort our system in the yellow zone. Or then, if we don't do that, we're fighting them, we're trying to suppress our emotions or run away from them. But we're really just putting them on the shelf to deal with later. And those emotions build up like an overstuffed closet. Like the kind where you don't even exactly remember what's on those top shelves or like shoved back in the corners. In the yellow zone, you want to give yourself some comfort. Even if you're giving yourself some comfort right along with handling the situation. Okay, you're at your best in the yellow zone when you're saying something kind to yourself. That includes validating yourself, telling yourself it's okay to be mad. Like you woke them up 3 times. Why are they not up? It's okay to be frustrated. It's totally normal. Nothing's gone wrong here. Kids oversleep and it's okay to be frustrated. Maybe giving yourself a glass of water. Sometimes taking a drink is enough to help reset your autonomic nervous system. Or a warm beverage like Sheldon always offered in the Big Bang. Okay, a warm beverage, like that feeling of warmth in your body, actually can help comfort you. Taking a quick walk, texting a friend. And if you've got big things going on, you might need more than just a momentary comfort. You might need like some time with a good book or a good TV show that makes you laugh or helps you experience whatever emotion you want to experience in that moment. For me, an episode of Dairy Girls, right? Because that show makes me laugh. And the point is just to comfort myself. I'm giving you lots of options here because you should have like a comfort menu to go to, whether you need a little bit of comfort or a lot of comfort. So for me, another comfort thing is an act of service, because that reminds me that I'm not alone in my struggles. I'm not unique in that, my life has challenges. I'm not doing something wrong because my life has challenges. So this year I was feeling sad about dropping my youngest off for her very last semester of college. And so I found a charity that sets up dorm rooms for foster kids to start college. And I donated 2 dorm rooms, one for each of my kids. And that act of finding like a service opportunity that's meaningful for me takes me outside of my situation and gives me a new perspective. Like I was lucky to miss my kids, and my kids are lucky to be missed. And that I could almost enjoy the sweetness of my sadness. And for me, that's comfort. If acts of service feel like an obligation, then there's no judgment there. Like that's just not comforting to you. Giving to others when you need to be giving to yourself, like that's totally valid. And if that's you, just don't put that on your list. Getting outside is comfort for me. Going for a walk is comforting. And that can be like a 5-minute walk between clients. When I need to hit my reset button, sometimes I think of comforting as like hitting my reset button. Listening to good music, a 3-minute song can be comfort for me, or even just some breaths with a long, slow exhale and like really allowing myself to feel my feelings. It's worth having a good comfort list, like a menu to pick from. Comfort allows us not to abandon ourselves. The point of comfort is to allow us to tolerate our emotions enough to feel them. Okay, the full range of emotions are part of being human, and we don't get to skip any of the feelings. And feeling them helps them move through us and not get stuck. That stuck feeling is where our thoughts tend to loop, and oftentimes that looping is what sends us into the next level down, the red light on the stoplight. Okay, the red light is where you're overwhelmed. It's like you're looping and you can't get out of it. that red light zone really can happen with any emotion. Okay, we can loop in grief, we can loop in frustration, we can loop in sadness, we can loop in anger. The red light happens anytime you feel flooded by your feelings. And that's when you tend to numb out because the feelings feel like too much. Okay, it literally feels scary to your system to be that frustrated or sad or worried. So your system looks for ways to take it down a level. And that's where, instead of watching one episode of Dairy Girls for me, that's when I find myself binge watching like a whole season of something. Or tearing through that whole bag of chips, or scrolling on Instagram for way, way longer than you intended to. Numbing out is not bad. Mostly this happens on autopilot when you haven't noticed your need for comfort. It's when you blew through the yellow light and your system takes over. And it doesn't make you bad for doing it. Oftentimes when we're numbing out, we don't even realize what we're doing until afterwards. Okay, the idea behind numbing out is a protective one. Like that desire to just zone out is a protective one. It's what we do when we're overwhelmed by the emotions that we're feeling. Our bodies are like, whoa, this is more than I can handle right now. And our bodies look for ways to get back to a more manageable state. And we can expand our capacity to feel emotions. We can expand our capacity to stay in the green zone or stay in the yellow zone. But that doesn't mean that we won't be in the red zone. And sometimes we go straight from the green light to the red light without any option to even be in the yellow light. Like we can only come back up from the yellow light. I once saw a really bad motorcycle accident and yikes, instant red light. Or I had a call when I was out of town from my son's friend's mom asking for our insurance information because my son had been in a skateboarding accident and they were in the ER. Bam, instant red zone. Or here's another example kind of appropriate to this time of year. Maybe you've just done college drop-off and you see one of their socks still on the living room floor under the couch. And you get hit with a fresh wave of missing them. That's red zone. And the solution is to be kind to yourself. Comfort, comfort, comfort. You don't beat yourself up. You don't tell yourself you're weak. That's not the direct route to get yourself back into the green zone. The fastest way to do that is kindness and forgiveness. Maybe even appreciation that your system is trying to protect you. That's the place where you ask yourself, hey boo, what's going on? What do you need here? The difference between comfort and numbing is that comfort allows you to stay with yourself. Numbing takes you away from yourself. And the reason you get the urge to numb is you feel like it's too much to be with yourself. Numbing is a protective measure designed to allow you to survive the situation. And I know that seems crazy over a sock you found under the couch, but anytime you're flooded with emotion, your system is saying whoa, this is dangerous. And so it's comfort that gets you back up to the green zone. And I want to highlight a particular challenge that we have as moms, and that is oftentimes we comfort others and then we forget that we need to comfort ourselves. So we comfort someone in a situation and then afterwards we've taken on their emotions and then we got to comfort and take care of ourselves. And very, very often the comfort we need is a little bit more space. It's always a little bit more compassion for ourselves. And it's oftentimes a little bit more space in our schedule to actually attend to our own needs. We are always floating back and forth all day long between the green light and the yellow light and the red light. It's all day long. That's how our systems work. And knowing the difference between connection and comfort and numbing behaviors is as simple as noticing how you feel, okay? The more you can give yourself what you need, the more fluidly you move in and out of the green zone and the yellow zone, okay? Where you're feeling capable and connected and confident in all the good things. You're asking yourself, what's going on here? What do I need? And if you need help figuring all this out, I'm here for you. Send me an email with something like "Let's Talk" in the subject line, and I'll send you a link to my calendar to talk about what having support could look like for you. If you're listening to this podcast and you're able to put it into practice on your own, that's fantastic. And if you can't quite see how to apply them for yourself, then we should talk. I will help you put these ideas into practice so that you can really enjoy your experience of parenting and use this time to really grow your abilities to prepare you and your kids for what lies ahead. So when you are out of the green zone, take heart, be supported, give yourself what you need. You count, you matter. And the better you care for yourself, the more you can teach your children how to care for themselves too. That's how you solve issues like screen time. Not with hard and fast recommendations from some article, even from a reputable expert. Like that expert doesn't know you and doesn't know your family. Okay, you solve those issues by teaching your kids how to care for themselves. And you do that by caring for yourself. This is so valuable. It can't be overstated. Talk to you next week.